Come on in, everyone. And welcome to the Cottage on the Hill in the fall. And I thought today we would do a couple of things that I have promised. So number one, we did a tease for you. I worked with my friend John and we talked about relocating, rearranging some furniture. And I'm going to show you where that furniture ended up. And then also I promised to show you where the beautiful flower arrangements that we composed the other day, where those ended up in the cottage. So I think we're going to talk about all of those things. I've got a couple of announcements, and what do you say? Let's do it. Well, many of you have seen the cottage before. I've showed it many times, but you know what? I love having friends over repeatedly, and so I like having you here with me this afternoon. Some of you, this may be your first time to visit the cottage, and it's a wonderful time to do so because it's fall and we brought lots of the outdoors in. But before we get started with some of the details and take a little, just a little walkabout inside the cottage, I thought I might give you a sample of what it was like for me this morning. I'm trying to really start my mornings off in a more quiet, contemplative way. It's something that I did at my old house. I haven't done it as much here, so I'm trying to resurrect that practice. So let's just pause for a moment for a quiet morning by candlelight. there's definitely two more things that you want to make sure that you have your pantry stocked with. One is hot tea, and the other, you talk about a staple, is, I've said it a million times, I'm going to say it again, my very, very favorite Manuka honey. Now, I'm trying a different kind of tea right now. Pura tea, which my sister says is supposed to be so, so healthy. Well, I am going to make it even healthier by adding some Manuka honey because it is packed with prebiotics, antioxidants. Look at this caramel yumminess. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. It tastes like no other honey made by those bees from the Manuka trees in New Zealand. Well, it is just an indulgence, but it's also a staple. So while you are taking care of your soups, your stews, all of those other, your chicken and dumplings, make sure that you also have the ultimate comfort food on hand, and that is Manuka honey. And while you're stocking up your own pantry, you might want to make sure to use the code that I've got here on screen because you're going to want to get some of this for gifts, for stocking stuffers. You're just going to want to make sure that you've got it on hand for the holidays. Okay, this is hysterical, and Stuart just told me this when we wrapped up that other segment, but I have to share it with you because it's such a great idea. He has Manuka honey, and then he also had peanut butter, and it's his favorite way to eat the Manuka honey. So he had just a little bit of peanut butter left in the jar. So what he did was just add the Manuka honey directly to the jar of peanut butter, stirred it up, put it on his toast, and he said, well, you said it was absolutely divine, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a great tip, Stuart. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
Well, it's all about fall cottage decor, so let's look at some of the appointments in the parlor. I didn't really rearrange the furniture that much, or maybe I did since you've seen it last because I seem to be relocating things in here all of the time. And it's easy to do for me because I can move all of the pieces of furniture by myself. So that's why I do it frequently and to just kind of suit my mood. So a couple of things that I did in the way of autumnal touches. I showed you one before. Here are a couple more of the gourds that I spray painted white. These used to just be brown and rustic, but I wanted something that was more befitting the parlor. The other ones were great at my former home, but I like the way these stark white ones give it kind of a fresh look. And then I just put together a leaf bouquet, and I did the same thing there. I spray painted a leaf bouquet white. Then along those same lines of bringing October inside, I brought in one of my topiaries. It fits perfectly here, and I think it really pops against the white of the fireplace. So this might be something that you want to try. If you've got a white facade somewhere, here's a tip. Put something green in front of it because it makes a wonderful backdrop, and I think makes the green look really, really lush. This is a Eugenia topiary, and it'll probably go in and out so it gets enough light at least before it goes into the greenhouse, probably as temperatures begin to really turn cold. I've already showed you my beautiful bouquet right here of my Chinese snowball viburnum. Stuart, right here, let's put up some snapshots. So if anybody wants to really take a screenshot of that, they can. And then I just really kind of zhuzhed it a little bit with another white gourd. And this morning you saw that I had the candle lit there, or illuminated, since it's a battery operated candle. And then I also had one here right in front of my sofa. And by the way, for those of you who have asked, this is from our house. So this was just a wonderful place for me to kind of be quiet, do my meditation in the morning, and enjoy the start of the day before sunrise. And it was very, very quiet, at least until Hubs got up and started making his cups of coffee. So there we go. I told you that I love pears in the fall. There's another tip. I would definitely use pears not only as a yummy snack, but also something that I think just makes for a beautiful still life in your home. And And so I put some of these out. These are just some Bosque pears. I brought out my blue and white pumpkin. And I think this was a gift. And I'm terrible. If I believe it was a gift from one of my followers, and I apologize if I'm remembering incorrectly. And then I just thought it would look a little bit more delicate with another white spray painted leaf. Then I'm not in a mood to be too ghoulish this year. I have a few Halloween-y things out, but this year I just wanted it to be more about fall. So I've got a couple of scary things in here, but for the most part, I just wanted to read, I guess my thematic is a fresh white fall. That's how it was outdoors, and that's how it has proven to be indoors. And I think it makes for just a quiet, serene setting in the morning or the night. Well, I'm so excited because my book officially comes out on October 21st. A lot of you have already pre-ordered it, and Stuart told me that some places have already online sold out, but they're getting in more copies, and I hope you will want to get a copy. This has been a real labor of love for me. It's a year of garden-inspired living, full of the kind of tips that I share here with you, but definitely organized by season. And of course, it is fall. So where my ribbon marker is right now is under autumnalizing. And it just is full of little tidbits, little grace notes, if you will, of things that I think, might be ritual, might be just practicalities, might be just little individual smile presents that will make you smile and hopefully make some others smile. And here's an example of just one of them. This one I entitled Thanksgiving at the Villa. So one Thanksgiving we were at a villa in Europe, and it wasn't so much their theme that was Thanksgiving, because that's an American holiday after all. And it was just a beautiful wooden table, kind of a groaning board layout. And there were beautiful bone and kind of amber colored pumpkins and gourds. But what made them look different and very, very unique was the way that they had these gorgeous antlers positioned on the long table with all of the gourds and things kind of tucked in and amongst them. It was breathtaking, it was very earthy, and it was very, very autumnal. So that's just one kind of idea that's in the season of autumn, and I really hope that, that you find just a little bit of inspiration here. In fact, I'm getting ready to do some TV spots this afternoon, and well, I am hoping that it might inspire some of you to also buy my book. Well, you guys were along with me for the long road, the pilgrimage, if you will, deciding what to do about putting a divider up in between the parlor and the kitchen. I love the way it turned out. Thank you to, I believe it was Elizabeth in California who sent me the specs for this. It turned out exactly the way I want, and in short order, there will be a wreath hanging on this side. I haven't picked out which one I want to hang yet, and I might wait till the Christmas holidays, till it gets a little bit more wintry to do that. But come on into the parlor, and this would be flower arrangement, I guess, number 2. I showed you this one, and when I showed it to you in a previous episode, I said, and I think if I added a third component, that third component would be some beautiful red pears. I think these are just red Bosque pears, but they are gorgeous. They don't even look real. And, and I told Stuart, as soon as we finish shooting these, I am going to munch down on one of them because, well, let's just say that pears in fall, I think, are just, and in the wintertime, are a wonderful treat. And as a kind of just a point in time, I noticed that at Trader Joe's, they have the beautiful boxes of Harry and David pears that I like to get and give every year for the holidays, or even as a kind of a Thanksgiving hostess gift. I think that's a nice touch point. My table, in addition to holding my sunglasses and my remotes, just has some of the original gourds, or the gourds in their original state before I spray painted any of them. And a lot of you ask me, what do I miss most about my former home? And this would be it. It might be a strange thing. I was attracted to the cottage because it was just so light and bright and infused with white and fabulous illumination. What I kind of missed from the other house, it was a little bit darker. It had more of an English pub kind of vibe to it with warm woods and golden walls. And that was easy for me to decorate around with these kind of hues. And I had a lot of them. Here, not so much. So I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate some of my decor items that have more of that feel versus the feel that I have here, which is a little bit lighter, brighter, more Serena and Lily. That in the past was maybe a little bit more Ralph Lauren. Does that make sense? That's my question of the day. Does that make sense? And do you know what I mean by saying that? I didn't point out in the parlor, but I switched out some of my pillows. I used to have blue and white linen pillows, and now I have a big velvet pillow in the corner, and then the blue and white plaid pillows that I used to have, if Stuart can show you in a distance, going the wrong way. I replaced those with these gorgeous velvet pillows on my black chairs that are just a wonderful, wonderful place to have a cup of tea in the afternoon, especially when it's cold. Yeah, it's a pretty little spot, isn't it? Yeah, it makes me happy. It makes me happy. So here is that little vignette. Something else that I did, I always have some kind of seasonal arrangement here. Always, 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 unless I'm in the midst of switching out one for another. I also have just a couple of seasonal touch notes in different places, just some white baby boo pumpkins that I think look kind of fun in a bowl. Very practically with my avocados that are ripening in a planter, a golden planter of a Halloween-y skull. Another thing that I did was I put up all of my blue and white china. I typically would have, in the summertime, have my blue and white plates out, my spode, and I've put that up because that to me reads a little bit more spring and summer, and I wanted to bring in this more of a tone-on-tone, kind of a buff color, russet color vibe. So out came my other dishes, and those other ones went away, and I also changed some of the appointments up here on this shelf. You guys, do you remember way, way, way back when I first moved in and I was so concerned about this wooden shelf above my stove? Well, it's turned out not to be a problem, not to be a problem at all, but it is a wonderful place to display some things like these gorgeous rabbit foot fern. So they right now are very, very happy in some white mixing bowls. And there's another tip. If you've got a great stack or a great nested set of mixing bowls or things like that, they make wonderful mama bear, papa bear, baby bear arrangements with fern, with really anything. Let's see, moving across. Over here on this side, underneath Mr. Fly Fisherman, I wanted something really simple, but still with an autumnal note, but something that I could easily sweep away if I wanted to use this for more practical reasons. I love these ears of corn, the decorative ears of corn. I forget to use them every year, but this year their rich color, I think, is the perfect counterpoint to just the bone color of the baby boo pumpkins and also this tawny color of the dried husks. And then I not only like to kind of switch out the vibe, the seasonal vibe of my decor, but also of my treats. So lately we have been on a scone kick around here. Stuart just said he was gonna, I'm down to 2 or 3. Hubs and I have been going at them pretty strong. And as soon as we get finished here, I have a feeling that Stuart's going to have one with his cup of coffee. Okay, when we come back, I'm going to show you where I repositioned some of the wicker furniture in my office and in my bathroom and bedroom area. I haven't done an outfit of the day in a while, so I think it's appropriate that we do one now with a little personal commentary from me at the end. So from top to bottom, my earrings came from I do not know where. I want to say Burlington Coat Factory many, many, many years ago. I've had them for so long I can't remember. And here's a little something. I I don't know how many pair of earrings, but I seldom get rid of any of them because I wear all of them. They're like old friends to me. And it's one of the little daily joys is picking out what kind of earrings I'm going to wear with my outfit. It gives me just a little, well, it's a little smile present for me. And so that's something to think about, to savor and notice those little moments of beauty. Beauty doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it does have to be noticed. Then my top. This is one of my favorite tops I've ever gotten off of Amazon. You've seen me wear it before. It's perfect for this season. In fact, I just ordered another one in blue, and I love it. I love the delicacy of it, and I think it's got kind of a silhouette that's a little bit more unique than some of the other kinds of things. My bracelet, this belonged to my second mom. It is old, and I think it belonged to her mother. And it's just kind of unique. And then these are just some inexpensive bangles. My breeches were, I think I got these at Goodwill. I can't remember. I don't even remember what brand they are, but I got these at Goodwill. My belt I got at Nordstrom Rack. Takes me a while to remember. Nordstrom Rack. And my shoes are, I think they're Bionic. They're some of the very foot-friendly, walking-friendly sandals that you can get online. Okay, now my personal commentary. I know how distracting it is for all of you to see the back of my hair. But please don't blame it on Stuart. Please don't blame it on Stuart. Those of you who have watched this channel for a long time are probably laughing out there because I have told you ad nauseum, I have so many calyx in my head. I've got a big one back here. I've got two side ones here. I've got one on this side. And so my hair always looks like it needs to be combed. Even if I just combed it and I stepped outside and there was a little bit of a breeze or I bent down to pick something up, well, all of those calyx would rear their ugly heads. My son Johnny has them as well. But don't blame poor Stuart for telling me that the back of my hair needs to be combed. I'm sure it does, but it wouldn't last. That's just the way my hair rolls. I just have bad hair. You know, some people have bunions and some people may have a birthmark or something. I just have really bad hair and bad calyx. So please don't blame the photographer. Blame Mother Nature. You have been asking for, where did the furniture finally drop? Where did it end up? Well, John was very, very helpful. And I need to remind myself that when I shoot videos like that in the future, here's my analogy. You know how sometimes you clean your house before the cleaning lady gets there? Well, I need to do that sometimes even before I shoot the before videos, because my office was an absolute mess because I do a lot of work in here. So I had stuff all over the place. I had a lot of things still left over from the tour. Let me turn on this light for you, Stuart. There we go. And it was a holy mess, but I have managed to rein in most of the mess and create some order. So here's what we did. We moved the long wicker table that was here into the public bathroom, and I will show you where that is, or I call it the public bathroom. It's actually the master bath. And this table that used to be on that table holding my printer and everything, it was moved over here. The scale is a little bit more appropriate, I think, and it works for me. This over here, when we last met, we had the table in the corner and we had the two wicker chairs positioned right here. And it was a very, God rest her soul, Diane Keaton moment in Something's Gotta Give, where she had those fabulous wicker chairs in her living room and they were in a corner kind of like this. And I was trying to replicate that vibe, but it was just too cramped. So instead, I just looked around in my house and saw other things that worked. And I so like the table with the two black chairs in the parlor positioned this way that I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll like this positioning with the two wicker chairs flanking either side of this table, which now looks a little bit more appropriately in scale. And I get lots and lots of light in here. A lot of you asked me about these drapes, and I got both the drapes and the blinds. I got both of those off of Amazon, and I will provide the link for you. These need to be steamed a little bit. The bottoms used to be kind of hidden, but now they're not, so they might require a little more steaming. The big bouquet of Encore azaleas that I cut, I mean, how gorgeous does that look? They are gracing my desk. They make me smile every time I look at them. These are my favorite variety of Encore azalea. I've showed them to you in my garden before. Now you see how brilliant they are as a cut flower. This is carnation. And they just look, I think, they just look resplendent, not to be over the top, but I think they really do. And I love the way they look even as the blooms begin to age. The other way that you can use Encore azalea foliage is just by taking off the blooms when they expire. They're still beautiful in their own right. Look at that. And they've always, the branching and the foliage has always kind of reminded me, for whatever reason, of the branches of apple trees. So you could come back in here, you could just use the bare foliage and then come back in here with any kind of other color of flower that you so choose. I've got it in this mercury glass, faux mercury glass vase that I got on a Goodwill visit. It captures the light beautifully, I think. And more importantly, they just kind of keep me company as I work in my office. So when we come back, we will do a switch in orientation, and I'll show you which direction my desk now faces. And as so many of you suggested, and as I have done before, I put my desk back in front of my bookcases, I should say. And John, you know, he made the comment, I think that bookcases are always a brilliant backdrop for anything. I love them as a backdrop to my bedroom. If we can find a picture, Stuart, let's put it right here of my former bedroom where I had the bookshelves as a backdrop to my bed. But I really love the way it looks. I also like the fact that I can look out of both windows now, both one window that faces south and these other windows that face east. So I get lots and lots of light. I have straightened up everything. I have put away a bunch of stuff. Of course, I still have some things that I have to keep out to grab and go. A lot of the mess that you saw in my office before, that actually, well, it belongs to Taylor and Jamie, because so many of you were so kind and you sent wrapped gifts and things of that nature. You brought them to the garden tour. You have mailed them to me, and all of those are out so that I will remember to bring them to Denver or mail them to Denver the next time that I've got it on my mind. But I have a more serene, more organized, less chaotic vibe in my office now, which is one of the reasons that you all are now getting my newsletter again. So I've sent out 2 newsletters the past couple of weeks. I have my mojo back, and I'm really enjoying just kind of reflecting with you and sharing with you some of my inner thoughts. So I hope you're enjoying them as well. If you want to sign up for my newsletter, we'll make sure to put a link in the description box. Speaking of the description box, when we did a product video a while ago, some of you said that, boy, the links that we provided you on screen were a lot more expensive than the links that we provided you or that you could get at Amazon. You could find a less expensive link at Amazon. And that's true, because people like to shop different places. Some people don't want to shop at Amazon at all, and I respect that. So we give you different opportunities for where you want to spend your dollars. So we put up a link on the screen, but always in the description box, we will put an Amazon link that quite often might be less, might be more, but it might be less. So if you are opting to buy one of the things that I'm showing you, then definitely you want to check out both locations. So what do you think? You think you want to you want to go to the bathroom now and see where my wicker piece ended up? Let's do it. And I've got another question of the day for you. Do you guys seasonally change out your bedding? Because I do, and I have changed out my bedding to what I think of as my autumnal and my winter bedding. This all came from Pottery Barn. I got it a couple of years ago when we moved into the cottage. I also switched out my bedside tables. I think I showed that to you in the video that I did with John. These are just a little bit more lightweight. They're just not quite so oppressively large, and I think the scale, I just think the scale is a little bit more appropriate. I brought the outside in by cutting, you know, another bouquet, large bouquet of hydrangeas. And then in this kind of low light corner, I just have another one of my, well, let's call it a signature touch. I love rabbit foot fern, and I find that they perform, this is a tip, they perform very, very well. Unlike different kinds of fern that drop their fronds, drop their leaves, these perform really well to me. And I also like the way they look when the foliage may not be so lush, because then you can kind of see the rabbit feet. So I like them when they're full. I like them when they're not full. Well, I just like them. So that is a little bit about bringing the outdoors into the master bedroom. Now let's go into the bathroom. Well, come on into the bathroom and you can see where I relocated my wicker furniture, at least two pieces of it. And I have to say, I absolutely adore the way it looks. This bathroom used to be a porch, and it was obviously converted, but I love the way it still has kind of a conservatory feel. And this green wicker, this dark green wicker, I think really enhances that kind of the personality of the space, especially with these red geraniums. I just think these red classic geraniums on top of the green wicker, I just love the way it looks. It's just one of those companions, like soup and sandwich, that I just think looks great together. That just might be me. And then I really love the way the long wicker table looks underneath this brilliant gallery wall that my friend Deborah helped me create. She took all of those photographs. And at night I can light my candles. I can have a nice, wonderful soak in the bath. I've replenished all of my Dr. Teal's products. I love them. My Epsom salts and my foaming bath waters and things like that. Inexpensive. I love that brand. So I just like the way it looks in here now. I think it just has more of that kind of conservatory, kind of garden room vibe. So again, tell me what you think. Well, I guess the most important thing is if it pleases me and Hubs, and I think it does. When we come back, let me show you where another couple of those flower arrangements ended up. This is the part of the house that I think always surprises people if they haven't been in the cottage before. Well, let's just say that the room in the back is very, very unexpected, but it practically doubles the size of the cottage itself. Now here, this is an arrangement that I put together yesterday that I'm disappointed in because it has wilted very, very quickly. So I cut all of these peppers and I put them in a little brass urn. And when I first did it, it looked wonderful. But it's kind of drooping right now. And I think it's because I put some of that natural floral oasis in here. I haven't had this problem when I put it directly into water, but this one I wanted to put in some oasis to kind of stabilize it. And I don't think it liked that. It's kind of complaining. So I'll probably replace this one pretty soon. The other ones, I think I can have them in place for, gosh, a full another week. So come on into the hallway, into tiny hallway, such as it is. I seldom show my second guest bedroom, but here is where I also switched out the bedding seasonally. It's just kind of a classic room. This is where Hubs hangs out. It's where his bathroom is, his closet and everything. More importantly to me, it's where my Aviron is. So I do spend a considerable amount of time in there. And then we made a few changes back here to kind of switch it up a little bit. For those of you that wanted me to bring back this lamp that was down in the basement. I brought it up from the basement, brought it back. I moved my lamps around, just like I like to move furniture around. I moved my lamps around. And then I relocated some of the things that were on the mantle. I got out some different throws. Most importantly, I created a different seasonal landscape on this coffee table, which, by the way, does not in any way block the view of the TV if you are looking at it from either Hub's spot or where I sit. I actually don't sit in here very often. This is kind of Hub space. Here's that gorgeous arrangement that I put together, or I think it's gorgeous anyway, of the begonia leaves, the coleus leaves, and some cuttings from these pinky purple mums. And this time of year, it is all about apples. And so I have 3 different kind of apples in here because I think it's kind of fun to do your own individual little apple tastings to see which ones you like best. And it's also a fun thing for the kiddos when they come over. I can have a little miniature apple tasting for them and they can tell me which ones they like the best. That is one of the things that's actually in my book. Garden Inspired Living Through the Seasons, as is, and you've seen these before, my okra pods. So it's just a fun little seasonal vignette, but I've got another question for you. I mentioned that this arrangement would be really, really beautiful if you put in a pop of color flower, cut flower that you got either from your own garden or from a florist or your grocery store, wherever. And I've got a couple of different options that I selected, and you can tell me which one you would choose. And because I was just at Trader Joe's yesterday, here are 2 different options that I thought would look stellar with this bouquet. By the way, it is in an old silver-plated pitcher that I got thrifting, and I love the feet on it in particular, and it's got that kind of antique-y look that I like. It reminds me, it's kind of out of Africa-ish, where you've got all of these different kinds of African early American vibes, and then with just a touch of refinement. But here are a couple of different options. So would you add option A, some of these? Well, let me do this for you. It might be easier for you to envision if I have had these in water, if I remove some of the plastic wrap. Which would you prefer? This vibrant orange? That was my instinct originally. These are Whopper marigolds that are sold as a cut flower, or put in more deep purple chrysanthemums, and then the whole arrangement becomes very, very tone on tone, very dark and moody, one color echo after another. The richness of that also really speaks to me. So which would you do? I'm going to add one more component to this. Would you go with vibrant orange, choice A, or this deep, deep purple, option B? And it's not too spooky back here, but I do have a couple more of these skulls. I love they're resin skulls. I bought these online somewhere. I don't even know if they're still available, but they look kind of like wicker to me. And I think that's what I like about them. So again, it's not too spooky back here, but just a couple of nods to the season. And then I may or may not just have a leaf bouquet just about anywhere because I love the way they look. Sometimes I will spray them with that glossy enamel like I spray my pumpkins or some of my pumpkins. Sometimes I leave them natural like this, and I think it just is another way to bring October indoors and enjoy the season, whether it's acorns, whether it's pine cones, whether it's really gorgeous, gorgeous sycamore leaves, whatever really speaks to you and strikes your fancy, I think is a wonderful way to bring the outdoors in. One last change, or 2 last changes. I have restocked the hot chocolate pods in my kitchen because we're almost there. I think it's supposed to get cool this evening. Nice. Yeah, finally get cool to cold. We might even be able to have a fire, I'm told, this evening. And then I also, okay, this is funny. Stuart just said, okay, Linda, go like this, finger comb your hair, because one of my calyx just erupted. It just is kind of like a seed pod that just pops all of a sudden. It exposes itself. It's like they're living creatures inside my head. And another change that I make is I start playing autumn jazz radio just about everywhere. I love autumn jazz. I love late night jazz. I love Billie Holiday. I love Nat King Cole. I love the old crooners, probably like you. And I just like to put them on repeat when I am at home working. I just have it on in the background. Sadly, we can't have it on in the background now, or we'll get a music strike for it, or I would share with you exactly what I'm talking about. But I do so love it. I've also brought out all of my plaid blankets and everything, because next week I think we are going to be able to have one of those pignon fires in the backyard. One last note that I want to close on. So many of you have inquired about Kayla's mom, and it's been really touch and go lately, to be perfectly honest. In fact, Kayla has a number of people in her world right now who are really having health struggles. So she so appreciates your inquiring, your being supportive, your asking about it, and certainly your thoughts and prayers really mean a lot to her, because it's been a tough time. Actually, it's a tough time for a lot of people. I got 3 bad news phone calls in just the past couple of days that really have me kind of down in the dumps. So here's what I've just decided to do. If we have to share bad news sometimes because we just have to. But there's also sometimes sharing good news is an option. And if you have an opportunity to share some good news with friends, with strangers, with acquaintances, sometimes it might be just what they need. So yesterday, maybe it was inappropriate, maybe it wasn't, but I just did a little Danny picture blast to just about everyone I knew, to send out a picture of my new grandbaby, because it was some good news that I just wanted to share. And I think that's important. I think we need to share the good news that happens to us, because it's as contagious, I think, as bad news. So that's kind of, for what it's worth, that's kind of my tip for today. And I'll also ask you another tip to just subscribe, give us a thumbs up, follow us, subscribe to my newsletter, but more importantly, share it with somebody else who might need a smile on their face. At least they can laugh about my calyx. You guys take care.